obsessed with ancient Egypt, British archaeologists and necromancers have discovered the means to reanimate dead bodies, quickly replacing mechanical inventions with cheap, undead labor. But some fanatics plan to summon Moloch, an ancient god, and cast his burning wrath upon London. Only one thing stands in their way. The gentlemen of the Unicorn Club. Her Majesty counts on you in the campaign to thwart the cult. Rise of Moloch is a Victorian adventure board game for 2 to 5 players that takes place in an alternative England where magic and technology have taken an extraordinary turn.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining the channel and thank you for coming to episode 2 of our playthrough series, our video series of Rise of Moloch in the World of Smog, produced by Simon and Guillotine Games. In the first episode, you saw that we went through this box. So while I'm calling this a playthrough series, we're also going through all the components because there's a lot of stuff, and I don't know that it's all been shown in English yet or in other forms. So maybe it has, maybe you've seen it already, but we're going to go through it. And I went through this box, yes, in the previous video. Now in this video, we're going to go through the expansions, the Kickstarter expansion stuff, and then the expansions themselves. And then hopefully we'll end with looking at some of the people we want to have in the playthrough, the gentlemen that we want to use. So let's get started with that. We're going to move this box. I just want to remind you all that we went through this in the previous video. If you haven't seen that, please go back and check that out. That'll be the main box. And in this box, we're going to go start with the Arcanist Extras, which are the Kickstarter bonuses that I got here. So this is what the Arcanist Extras box looked like. This is World of Smog, Rise of Moloch, yeah, etc., etc. And I've already I took the shrink off it. It did have shrink on it, but I wanted to open it up for you and show you what was inside. So it too is like the main box in a lot of ways. It's got of course, it doesn't have the full rules, but it does have the campaign pack for the Arcanist Extras. It talks about all the different things that we can do. It adds quite a bit to the storyline. We'll go through that in the book a little bit, so let's go take a look at that. We'll look at that separately, and then we'll get into the miniatures and stuff that comes with this expansion box here. So you have to pardon some of the glare. It's the overhead lighting. I'm on a different table than my main table. So while I do have some diffuse lighting to cut the glare, there's still a little bit going on. So it shows you the contents. It talks about the extra stuff you get with the pack, and then it goes into the actual missions. So here's an overview of all the components you get in this pack. So 16 more agents, you get a bunch more bad guys, baddie dudes, right? And 8 more gentlemen, so you get all these guys. It's pretty cool. 8 new gentlemen to play with, that's pretty neat. 18 minions, a bunch of plastic cog tokens for things, which, well, there's 20 of them, but here is what they look like, right? And they got a little cool, neat little gem, but we'll get into the miniatures in a minute. A dice bag, meh, 8 black dice. And then you get all the cards that are associated with it and go along with the allies, etc., boards, and the campaign book. So again, the art and the theme in this it's just dripping in theme. It's fantastic. I love the art in this world. It's pretty neat. That is a neat looking character. So anyway, this is the Circus Mission is the first mission in here, and again, it's going to have, this is just the thumb, Humpty Dumpty. It's got some theming going on there. It talks about Chapter 1. The setup, just like the other book, it's got fantastic art, easy layout, setup, and rules that explain what each mission is. So we're not going to spend a heck of a lot of time on this because I did do it in the main book, and I don't want to spoil any of the missions. Like you saw something on Egypt there, so obviously you get to go abroad too. It's not just in London. Next up, we got the tiles that it came with. So it just came with 2, right? These 2 expansion tiles, which is perfect because you don't need a bunch of these. Now it shows. These look like egg sacs. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't know. They look like big giant spider egg sacs. And then, of course, the other side is just more like this looks like part of a dock or warehouse section or something like that. Those also came in the box. And then it mentioned the dice bag. It's got, I mean, the dice bag's cool. It's just, I don't know if it get a lot of use is all. And then we're going to talk about the cards for these people. Now, some of them, I noticed that it was kind of interesting. I noticed that some of them, like there's a duplicate for one, and that's Emma Swanson. I think she's in the main pack with her alien gun, right? Symbiotic pistol. This might be a little different. I think it is. But anyway, these are the ones that come in this pack. So you got Emma Swanson. You can see her stats there. I'm not going to dwell on them right now. Erum Nala, who looks like some kind of magician. He's an Arcanist. He's got some spectral flame ability, can create fire, etc. And then you got Mechamancer. This guy's the miniature for this one's really neat. I'm excited to show that to you. He can create these portals, pretty cool. And we got. I really like some of the guys in this. The artwork again is just dripping with cool theme in this steampunkish arcane world of London that we're in, and obviously abroad. So that's pretty cool. That is Professor Sawbones. Now I'm going through this faster than I did the main box. You got a lot of meat in the main box, but I want to make sure I cover the other boxes, the expansions too. So I don't want to spend too much time on these things because they all have stuff to look at. And then you got the Lady Widow, another. She's a dilettante. And again, remember, they all have cool storylines on the back of them that you can go through. She carries some kind of crazy dark phonograph that gives her dark control. And it says, oh, the gramophone. Pretty neat. Neat character again. And then Captain Nemo, and who's all teched out. I love that. And he's got like some tech mask on and everything. He's got ruthless efficiency. Really, and someone had mentioned this, reminded them of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yes, very much so. That theming and everything really drips in here with the monsters and the supernatural people. Like the Marquis of Karabast, who looks to me like a lot like the vampire from the Dracula from the Dracula movies. That was done years and years ago. He's a monster, otherworldly charm, so he's definitely like a vampire. Then you got this guy. Look at, I mean, I don't know if you can see the artwork. The artwork is very cool. The crows flowing around him and everything. It's great stuff. And then you got some kind of leprechaun dude, Chikurka, who is a dilettante as well, otherworldly inspiration. So obviously not of this world, has powers, arsenal items that they can get. Quite a cool cadre of interesting characters. Now, once again, the one thing I get concerned about with the Cool Mini or Not games is they have so much stuff in the expansion. How do they control the effectiveness of all of these characters in the game? Do they get overpowered, underpowered? Do they keep the abilities just so generic that they don't really enhance the game that much? Anyway, let's take a look at the rest of the stuff in the box. So right here are the agent miniatures, so we'll take a look at those. And I told you about the guy with the portal. It's really neat. He's like stepping out of the portal, and look at how the detail level on that. Really cool stuff. Again, all deserve to be painted. Here's the dude with the weird African mask. It looks like it's his whole head, and he's wearing then a suit. It's kind of interesting. And then again, I think this character is repeated. I don't know why. I'll have to read about that. I'm not sure, but it looks like she has a pistol instead of the big rifle on her arm. Emma Swanson. And then you have the one with the gramophone, the older lady with the gramophone. Again, I think the detail level on these miniatures is fantastic. So, if people, again, I talk about this a lot because I had to put so many miniatures together with things like Shadows of Brimstone. Apologies for the interruptions, folks. I just had my phone ring and I wanted to make sure I cut it off before you all had to hear it for too long. And again, this guy looks like he has some kind of demon spirit floating over him. It's really neat. He's hovering off the ground. These are the good guys, right? So they're interesting. Here's the guy with the magician with the magic hat that has the weird arcane fire coming out of it, and the sword. Neat looking dude there. And then here is the leprechaun dude with the fiery hat. Really cool stuff. I can't pronounce his name that easily, so I'm not going to try again. And then there's a dog. I don't know what the dog does, but there's a card for it. I think he's an ally. And these are the cards that you have. So again, we have the killer clowns. They're kind of cool looking. And these are double-sided again because these can be upgraded. And then you got Rat Boy. That's a killer clown cycler, so he's even better. You got this Rat Boy. He's really cool looking. I mean, again, the art. I have to play with these guys, see what they all do that makes them cool. But still, Darwin from the Embassy is pretty neat looking. Sweet baby Charlie. Look at that crazy creature. There's going to be a miniature for him too. We'll take a look. Mr. Needle. There's the spider that probably has something to do with the scenario with the big egg sacs, right? And then there's Humpty Dumpty. A two-headed, weird-looking carnival guy. Thumb and Nail. That's pretty interesting. So there's some kind of carnival theme in here that goes on. The prestidigious cabinet, with the woman getting sawed in half. Shamrock the Great. He's obviously got his own skull head in the hat. Pretty interesting. And Captain Nemo as a bad guy, which is interesting. Automaton Kali, some kind of robot version of the god Kali. The canopic beast, which looks like some kind of Egyptian crocodile. JB the Ripper. What a neat looking character. Wow. All right, and some of the stuff's pretty gruesome, but it's still cool. Lady Usher, not to be confused with Usher the musician, or the Fall of the House of Usher. Lord Crowley, who I imagine is some kind of Satan worshiper or devil worshiper. Dr. Proteus Trevis, pretty interesting looking dude. Yeah, interesting. Cane Finger, Omnivorous, and then there's the Necropolis Guards, which are one of the groups. Now, these little cards here are mainly the activation cards, and there's some additional upgrades. I haven't opened it. I don't think I'm going to bother for this, but let's get on. And there's also another set of dice. You get more dice. Yippee. And then, if you remember, there was these little cog tokens for things. So that is the top layer. Now let's look at the miniatures for all the bad guys we just looked at the cards for. The creativity and artistry to win these. These are amazing, amazingly cool miniatures. I mean, check out the little baby Charlie dude. That is just wicked looking. That is so awesome. And then there's the box getting sawed in half with the curtain over it. Really cool. Now imagine this moves around the board. I think I have to imagine. There's the big crocodile dude. He's super cool looking from Egypt. The Crowley guy. His little dagger in the back. Really solid plastic too. Really good plastic. These are the guards, the Anubis guards or whatever they are, the Necropolis guards with their, I got some kind of monkey pet on a leash, and then they're the guards themselves. Very cool looking. Here is the Automaton Kali, which means somewhere along the line you're facing dead gods from India and Egypt, I imagine, or something along those lines. There's the vampire one that hangs upside down. Pretty cool. And again, you can see all these. There's the spider guy. Yeah, the one we looked at. There's the evil version of Captain Nemo. There's that one that I thought I was having a hard time making out what it is, but it looks like he's just got a big sheet over his head. He's trying to be like a weird ghost creature. Who knows? Anyway, we'll see in the gameplay, right? Maybe. And then there's was it? I don't remember what they called, but they had a really neat name. And look at that miniature; it's so cool with the contortionist bending over backward and the spike feet, and holding up the little dude. Really cool. Very, very cool. And then this big creature here, I don't even know what this thing is. It looks gross. I didn't see it in the stack there. And then, of course, we have the minion type characters. There's these monkey dudes here, and the clowns on the unicycles. So, I think I missed a couple of them. Let's just take a look at them. That one's vomiting up some kind of tentacle. Can't go wrong there, right? And there's the guy that's got his head in the hat. This skull head. So this is what comes in the new pack, the expansion pack from the Kickstarter stuff. This is not one of the expansions, it's purely Kickstarter. And it all fits nice and neatly back in the box, so it's pretty easy to manage with all the extra resources. One of the things, like, I'm really not happy with one of the other products because it's too convoluted, and that is from the pieces, and that is the Rising Sun box. I'm really looking forward to Daedalus and the Broken Token putting out an insert for that, because the game is unwieldy with all the stuff that comes with it. It really needs a good insert. Now, here is one. Now, I'm not doing these in any particular order. This is an expansion for the Rise of Moloch. It's called The Wheel in the World of Smog, and this is the box here. Let's turn it over and see what it says on the other side of it. It says, in the Wheel expansion, mystery and dark sorcery will overtake London and those who try to stop it. Curse cards join the game, making life for the gentleman harder. Also, a familiar friend becomes a challenge for the gentleman. A player cannot use Drago, since he is unable to confront his own mentor, Devio Jackal. Okay, or Jukal. So he obviously this has some storyline to do with the werewolf gentleman Drago. But anyway, let's take a look at what's in the box. So we got the campaign book, which runs through all the campaign, the extra miniatures. You get 2 gentlemen and a bunch of agents, and then a bunch more cards, boards, and stuff like that. It also has the rules for the curse cards, and then it goes into the beautiful artwork and layout and stories. It says from Nemesis eyes only. It tells you what's happening with these folks here, so we won't dwell on it. So you don't read it now, skip it. And it talks about the introduction of the scenario, chapter 1, and it goes through a chapter 2, and you see, it looks like it's like 3 or 4 scenarios. It looks like three full scenarios in here that you could play through, focused on the character Drago. Here is the here are the gentlemen that come in the game. I think there was 2 of them, right? Yeah. So we have Reverend Dudley, who is a cool-looking dude wearing a coffin on his back, really neat-looking, and Mrs. Dudley. So they're a team, apparently. And Mrs. Dudley appears to be dead. So she's a monster with the ability of Weight of Sin. Agents starting their activation. Jason, well, we don't need to read that. But anyway, those are the 2 folks. Then there's some additional tiles or tokens that come here, big building tokens or location tokens, and then another board tile. And then we get into the cards themselves. Here are these cards right here. These are the big monster cards and the miniatures. There's the 2 miniatures for, and again, I'm trying not to spend as much time on these as I did the main box. So we'll look at those real quickly, but let's pop open the cards. Okay, here's Nibaba, and again, these are double-sided because they can advance. They can get more powerful. Baba Yaga, Creature of the Night. It's like a little goblinoid creature. Divio Jukul, which is another werewolf-looking character, and then the Enraged Golem, which you can see the miniature right here. Also, let's take a look at these curse cards and see what they do. I'm curious what they. I didn't read the rules yet, obviously. I just popped this open. But let's take a look and see what we do. Of course, there's the activation cards for each of the characters, the good and bad, and then you have these curses. So it says, Profane Oath, 1 gentleman gets a token. I guess that's a curse token. Deal 1 damage to a gentleman with a curse token, etc., etc. And these look like to be curses. I don't know that those are tokens. I guess the rules will say. Lose your skill. Well, that's really bad. So that's what comes in the cards here. Let's pop this open and take a look at the minis too. Okay, I figured the main one you want to see is this Enraged Golem. See, look at the detail there. He's got like this really detailed centerpiece plate. Looks like almost mine in look. And made out of big bricks and stuff with gears or cogs coming out of them and steamworks. Here's I don't remember what this character is. I think it was a witch or something like that. But look at her. She's freaky looking. Those are her feet. Going up anyway. And then of course the 2 gentlemen. This is the Dudleys, right? The Lady and Lord Dudley. He's a minister rather, and he's got his coffin on his back. I guess his coffin carries his wife's corpse in it, and it allows her to be part of the. Looks like this broke here. We'll have to glue that back on. Not a big deal. She's got an anchor. It's weighing her down, right? That makes perfect sense. And that's the undead character you can play in this. And then you got these creatures of the night. They're like little goblins. Look fantastic. And the werewolf, the adversary to the gentleman Drago. Really cool looking, actually. Look at the rib cage sticking out. It's a very odd looking werewolf. I'm glad that they didn't make them that generic. They're different looking. And then I think that's Baba Yaga right there. Yeah, pretty cool. And again, it does come with some extra tiles, building tiles. I don't know what they are, but this looks like it's got a giant mushroom on it, some kind of underground building. Or who knows? We'll see as we play through this game. Maybe if we get that far. Maybe we'll see if you want to get that far. Anyway, guys, that is the wheel expansion. Here's one of the other expansions. Again, I didn't do this in any particular order, but this one is called the Dragon. You can see it's an expansion for Rise of Moloch. We'll take a look at the back, see what it says. It says, in the Dragon expansion, the gentleman will have to face a different kind of challenge, the Poison Torment deck. Instead of gaining a regular Torment card, they receive a Poison card. But beware, that's not the only way to put your life at risk. Some agents' abilities and weapons may also force gentlemen to receive that cursed card. Gain a 5th poison card and your gentleman will become neutralized. The Nemesis takes control of Fu Manchu and his group of minions, facing the gentleman's rage and trying to cover up their vile market promotion plans in the alleys and city docks. So, okay, so it's a Victorian marketing scheme done by evil sorcerers and bad guys. All right. So again, it comes with a scenario guide, tells you what the components are, gets you into the story, the expansion rules, talks about the poison cards that are part of the game, and they're again really fantastic art. It talks about the characters in it. We'll gloss over that because it says it's for Nemesis only, and then it gets into the scenarios, the downfall of the Prometheus Island factory, etc., etc. So scenarios there again. Here are the agents that come in the game. Got a cool looking gorilla called Mr. Honk. I have to play Mr. Honk at some point. Come on, who couldn't play Mr. Honk? Big giant gorilla wielding a lamppost. You notice he's all agility and fighting. He's got no ranged ability at all. He's just a big brawler. And he's a monster. Tactical savagery. He's a big beast, right? And then the other one is Peachy Carnahan. All right, Peachy. He's a knight. He's got these devoted Dravid's shrunken head, which is hanging around his neck. It's his special ability. Again, his arsenal of stuff that he can have. Looks like you go on a ship in this one, or at least on the docks on the ship, and that looks like the interior of an inn or something like that. And then further, more with the docks here. See some little boats tied up, and then more of the inn. So I imagine that the two go together and stack upon each other. All right, and then there's of course the cards. We'll take a look at the cards real quick. All right, Dr. Li Fong, the Dragon Fang, Poison Zombies. That's interesting. So it's kind of like the toxic zombies in the other game. Opium Dragon and Fu Manchu himself. So that's interesting. And then of course you have the cards. Now these have the torment, those new poison torment cards in them. So we'll take a quick look at that and see what they say. The rest of them are their activation cards, but there seems to be quite a bit of these as well. Contagious Poison. Each agent gentleman draw one poison card. So that means if you get near them, they all have to draw. There seems to be a few of those, and there's quite a bit of these poison torment cards, so I guess they come up rather quickly. And then there's some gear, some additional gear. Unknown Potion probably allows you to get rid of some of the poison, I would imagine. I don't want to ruin it too much for you, but I just want to look at even the artwork on these are really nice. They got that Victorian feel to them. Pretty good stuff. Okay, that's the end. Now, you guys can see the miniatures here. I don't think I need to bring them out. You've seen how good the miniatures are, right? Same quality. You've got some really neat characters in here. There's the dragon right there. There's Mr. Honk right there with wielding his big giant lamppost overhead. And if you want to see them, I can bring them out later as we play. Maybe we'll highlight them. But that is what comes in this box. So basically, it's pretty standard fare. There's going to be a couple of new boards, perhaps, a couple of new tokens. A new mechanic. I noticed that each of the boxes has had a new mechanic, 2 new agents or gentlemen, and a bunch of new bad guys to deal with. So that is the Dragon expansion. We have one more expansion to look at, and then another little box that I got. I didn't get everything here, apparently. That they didn't send me everything, but we'll see. And let's take a look at the embassy now. All right, Dr. Li Fong, the Dragon Fang, Poison Zombies. That's interesting. So it's kind of like the toxic zombies in the other game. Opium Dragon and Fu Manchu himself. So that's interesting. And then of course you have the cards. Now these have the those new poison torment cards in them. So we'll take a quick look at that and see what they say. The rest of them are their activation cards, but there seems to be quite a bit of these as well. Contagious Poison. Each agent gentleman draw one poison card. So that means if you get near them, they all have to draw. There seems to be a few of those, and there's quite a bit of these poison torment cards, so I guess they come up rather quickly. And then there's some gear, some additional gear. Unknown Potion probably allows you to get rid of some of the poison, I would imagine. I don't want to ruin it too much for you, but I just want to look at even the artwork on these are really nice. They got that Victorian feel to them. Pretty good stuff. Okay, that's the end. Now, you guys can see the miniatures here. I don't think I need to bring them out. You've seen how good the miniatures are, right? Same quality. You've got some really neat characters in here. There's the dragon right there. There's Mr. Honk right there with wielding his big giant lamppost overhead. And if you want to see them, I can bring them out later as we play. Maybe we'll highlight them. But that is what comes in this box. So basically, it's pretty standard fare. There's going to be a couple of new boards, perhaps, a couple of new tokens. A new mechanic. I noticed that each of the boxes has had a new mechanic, 2 new agents or gentlemen, and a bunch of new bad guys to deal with. So that is the Dragon expansion. We have one more expansion to look at, and then another little box that I got. I didn't get everything here, apparently. That they didn't send me everything, but we'll see. And let's take a look at the embassy now. Okay, this is the beefiest of the expansions that I have. It's called the Embassy. It's the World of Smog. It says it's just normal expansion, but it's almost twice as thick as the other 2 box depth. Here is I think this was the main expansion to come out. You can see there's not only a board, but there's also some other double-sided tokens, tiles. And again, two gentlemen, a bunch of agents, but looks like there's a lot more stuff. Plastic bases, these shadow tokens, etc. that go in the game, the campaign book, of course. And this talks about the villains. This talks about, obviously, some evil infected bobbies. Again, this deals with the embassy. I'm not going to get into the details of this because I don't want to ruin it for you again, but look, there's some kind of hallway thing that you have to go through, fight through. Looks pretty treacherous. narrow areas can't be good. It looks like you're going through a large embassy or something like that. Anyway, you can see that unlike the other ones, there's more stuff in this, so they are wrapped up. And here are, before we get there, here's the couple of tiles for this long hallway that we would have to go through. Yeah, quite a bit in this one. Now, this has one of the most unique looking gentlemen. It looks like a guy that has some kind of mech suit on. He's a mechamancer, which makes sense, but he's got a steam suit, but it's got these really long, funky arms on it. So he's really interesting looking, and it basically says his steam suit requires upkeep, maybe used twice per activation. It gives him some stat bonuses when it's active, and of course he has his arsenal of stuff. And then we have Elizabeth Sparkle, who looks like a cool-looking Victorian chick. Even though she's dressed like that, she's got massive power armor things on her arms. And she's a dilettante as a skirmisher. Again, her backstory, they all have the backstory on there that you can read at your leisure. And then it does come with a new board. It looks like there's some kind of evil tentacle thing in the water, and then some kind of maybe lab or something that you have to deal with. And then it comes with basically the rest of these hallway tokens, which look like they're pretty critical for this scenario. And then it mentioned the other tokens. There's the new token for the new mechanic, and then some other components like that. There's quite a few in here. It looks like big metal doors here and continued hallway space right there. And then you get down to the cards. So like I said, this one's quite a bit bigger than the other ones as far as what's contained within it. And I'm just going to pop open the cards and show you what's in there. So there is an infected Bobby. Kenny Jones. Oh, I know a guy named Kenny Jones. Doesn't look like that, though. Ambassador Nail, who looks like some kind of weird alien creature. Lord Swanson, who is some kind of beast monster. And then, of course, the infected Constable, who's the leader of the infected bad guys, right? And you can see that underneath here, those exist. So there are the miniatures. There's the dude with the... I'm not going to open it up. You can see it from here. There's the guy with the long arms. So you get the idea what's in these expansions. This one just has more of it. You can see the bobbies right there, the infected bobbies. I can't tell if there's a difference between... I'm looking for one that might look different. That might be the infected Bobby Captain. I don't see that offhand, but I'm sure one of them is just slightly different. Different enough, or maybe you put a black base on it to identify that it's not just the infected Constable as opposed to the infected Bobby. And of course, you have the some new torment cards, some new activation cards, etc. Now, one thing I don't know, and I haven't explored this at all, so I can't even answer the question, is with these expansions, what if you've leveled up your character through the base game? Can you just go into these other expansions with your leveled up character? And if you do that, will you have a good experience? I do not know the answer to that. So if you do know that, please answer in the notes or the comments below. I'd really like to hear that. I have one more box to go through you very quickly, and we'll take a look at that, and then that'll wrap up this episode. The next episode we'll get into considering how we're going to play this. And this box is the OHMS Gentleman set in the World of Smog, and you can see there's some miniatures here. And what it says on the back is that this basically the contents: 6 miniatures, 6 hero dashboards, 6 activation cards. So all you get in this pack, and all you get, it's still great, is a bunch of additional gentlemen that you get to play. And again, this is where I go back to, and I've noticed this in several, sorry, I bumped the camera, several CMON games that come out. I don't know how much time and effort they get to be able to really play test this to see if how well all these different characters work, especially in the long haul or long game when you're playing full-on campaigns and stuff like that. Anyway, what we get is Suzanne Taylor, who looks like an old lady with a big giant gun. It's called the Vengeful Protector. Now, I noticed that she doesn't have the gun down here, which is interesting, because with a weapon that cool looking, you'd think it would be an arsenal slot, but it's not. And then you get Master Fox, who's a dilettante, but looks like he's a fox dude, or like not in a costume, just a fox. Okay. Then you get Sir Daniel Home, who looks like he's an Arcanist, really neat looking dude. Parvin Khan, so it looks like she has some kind of she has a weapon. The hand flamer, so she's got some kind of flamethrower that she uses. Colonel Steele, who looks like an automaton, he's a monster, and he's a wind-up toy. That's pretty interesting. And then you have John Brown, of course. John Brown, who wouldn't have John Brown? He's some kind of Scottish knight. So too stubborn to die is that guy. Anyway, those are their cards. Now I'll untape the miniature box and show you the miniatures. Of course, you have their activation cards, but here are the gentleman figures that you get here. I like Mr. Fox. He's kind of cool looking. And I also really like the automaton or wind-up guy. That's a pretty neat character. And of course, I didn't realize she had wings. She's got like bat wings on her. She's pretty interesting looking with her flamethrower. And then the Scottish knight here. That's him. So basically, guys, that's it. That's everything that I got for the World of Smog, Rise of Moloch. So let me know what you think. In the next episode, I'm going to get into how we're going to play the game, because this is not a cooperative game. It is a one versus many game. And one of the things I hope CMON does as they go forward with all of their games is come up with, since they've developed several of these, they could create one app platform that manages to give you great co-op or solo play for all of these games, like Fantasy Flight Games does with Descent and Mansions of Madness, etc. These are deserving of that, especially with the quality and of the content like this game has. That and the others, man, it would be so fun to be able to play the others in a pure co-op mode, not through some funky rules on forums or on BGG, but on an official way to do it. That'd be great. I hope they come up with that. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks for checking out this episode. I appreciate it. I will bring more soon. About to finish up Myth Dark Frontier on my main table. This will then move to my main table as probably the next game we play. I do have some that I really need to get going, so I may have to run a couple of different games at once. We'll see. But guys, thanks so much, and I will talk to you in the next episode.